In this life that we're living, He is with us wherever we go. Husband and wife Darin and Brooke Aldridge are the new darlings of the Grand Old Opry. Both are highly acclaimed vocalists in their own right, with Brooke being the 4-time reigning IBMA Female Vocalist of the Year. This sweetheart duo combines amazing harmonies, creating an unmistakable sound that has made them one of the hottest acts in country and gospel music. Their new album, This Life We're Living, celebrates God's goodness. This is their story. This is today's Nashville. This is faith. Brooke, Darin, July 3rd of last year, I told my husband we are going to the Grand Old Opry. I wanted to see some of my favorite artists, and I was so thrilled that we got to listen to you. You have been named the new darlings of the Grand Old Opry. It was such an exciting night, and I am so honored to sit down and talk to you. I want to know how it all started.
Well, actually, our families were the ones that introduced us. A long time ago, I went to school with a lot of his family. I grew up with his cousins in my hometown, and his parents were from the same hometown I was from.
Where are you from?
Avery County, North Carolina, which is
Okay.
the little town's called Newland. But they had always tried to fix us up as we got older because they knew we had the same, love for music. And Darin was a professional at this time, right out of high school. So I wanted to pick his brain about how to go about getting to play music, for the rest of your life. And we had a lot of the same goals and ambitions. And so our families finally ended up getting us together at one point.
Was there an initial spark, or was it like,
He says there was.
Yeah. We emailed, I guess, for the first time.
We did, the very first time.
And my cousin was telling me so much about you, and she had won a lot of singing competitions and all that. And then a mutual friend of ours invited me to a church service where they was playing. She had a band with him.
Called Pure Heart.
And I got to sing with him for the first time. And the other guys were singing with her. And I remember I really wanted to jump in there and sing harmony with her. So after a few songs, then warming up, I kind of nudged my way in. I was like, let me sing with her one time. Because she just had such a powerful voice. She filled up the room. And they just had me sitting in playing like mandolin and guitar, and then after a few times of sitting in with them, then we started singing more and more together.
what do you think about that?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. I mean, his harmonies matched, my voice so well. Like it fit very well. And somehow that day at the church, when we both got there, we ended up, the congregation, the pastor got everybody ready to start the service, and we ended up on the front pew by ourselves, and the rest of the band was on the other side. And I thought, how did I end up?
That a little bit.
How did
You
I
planned
end up over here with him? And then the pastor told us to join hands to pray, and I was like, I don't want to hold this guy's hand. I hardly know him, But I don't know. There was just, like, looking back on it now, it's just really sweet to think that that was our first beginnings, and that God really did bring us together.
How long ago was that?
Oh, goodness. That was probably
15, 16 years ago now.
at least, yeah. So,
We've been married 13 years, so we
13
dated about
so
that long.
2 years.
yeah.
What happened after that?
After we met?
Yeah, well, after, that time, and you started growing in your music, and
Yeah, I was actually playing with another band at that time, and I started filling in with her and her band. And we started, like I said, mutually, I started getting up and playing with her, and then I would bring her along with the band I was performing in, and performing a lot of concerts, bluegrass festivals, and everybody would get the most excited when Brooke would come up and sing, and we would play together, sing together. And then I was thinking, and she was thinking the same, we might want to do this on our own.
And we did. We just had a lot of the same goals and ambitions already, so we knew, we knew there was something there.
what were some of your goals?
Well, just to have a music career, to get to do it, as a career. And
Yeah, we wanted to record, put out a positive message, for young couples and for all couples, as that matter, and record nice material. We wanted to walk the line of country, bluegrass, and gospel, and eventually make it to the Opry one day. I told her after the first time I ever heard her, I said, I think if we do this, you'll be a female vocalist of the year one day. and she's been 4 times in a row.
It's hard to believe.
It's amazing. Now, tell me about the circle. There's a story there, isn't it?
There is. Getting to step into that circle for the very first time was just amazing in its own right. And then last year during the pandemic, a friend of ours came to us and wanted to write a song about the Grand Old Circle. And he had seen a post that I had put up about holding hands in the grandest circle or something like that. And he said, we should write a song about that. Have y'all thought about it? And so, we debuted in 2017, July 4th, 2017, and so we thought it would be very fitting. And some of the things that Eddie Stubbs said when we debuted that night, we put into the song, and then a little bit of the history of the Opry and what it means to us, and then a lot of the artists that we remember seeing on the Opry since we were kids, who've always been there, and the Opry being a beacon of hope. So yes, to actually step into that circle and do it as a couple and a husband and wife who, had dreams of playing there when we were little, and getting to do it. It's just, it's a full circle moment, really.
And the journey getting there.
Yeah,
It's been a long one.
it has been.
Tell me about it.
Well, a lot of one-night stands and bluegrass festivals and kind of performing arts centers, auditoriums, and getting to do it together and trying to reach that moment. Yeah, I think we knocked on the door a long time, as people say.
So did you have other careers at the time, or were you?
We was jumping into that. Like I said, I was with another band. I performed a long time with the Country Gentlemen, which was a legendary bluegrass band. And Charlie Waller had passed in 2004, met Brooke in 2005. And we've been going strong ever since, trying to make our mark, and finally getting a lot of folks to help us out along the way. We've had a lot of heroes and guests and people we've looked up to that's been nice to us. And they've helped us open a lot of those doors.
Absolutely.
We've got to perform a lot with Jimmy Fortune. I know that's y'all have talked to, and our friend John Cowan, Vince Gill, Ricky Skaggs, and a lot of folks like that we looked at on the Opry as kids to be able to sing with them one day and them be gracious enough to say yes.
So you were in North Carolina. When did you come to Nashville?
Well, we've never actually moved over
We're still
here, but we're over here at least
I know you're here all the
times
time.
a month, and so we might get a second home out here one day. But we love our North Carolina state. But probably I came for the first time in probably 98, 97, playing some different things. But Brooke and I together would have been, I guess, 2005.
Yeah, probably.
And we got engaged here in Nashville.
You did. Well, now, and what year was that?
Would that have been 6?
That was 2006, yeah.
Now, we have a mutual friend or somebody that I just have always been a big fan, and it's John Barry.
Yeah.
And when we come back from the break, we're going to hear about how he helped you, stepped into that circle.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We played with John the first time.
Darin, we were talking about John Barry. Tell me about that time.
Well, John was the first person to ask us to perform on the Opry. And our manager, Brian Smith, is John's manager. And we was riding, Brian and I and Brooke, to the IBMA Bluegrass Convention in Raleigh. And they was setting up something for John's 20th anniversary on the Opry. And I could hear him on the phone. And they was talking about playing and doing. And I kind of hollered out loud. I said, tell John I'll play with him on the Opry. And he heard, over the phone. And John's the nicest guy, as you know. He said, I'd love to have y'all play with me. You can play mandolin. That'd be great. So he gave us the opportunity to play the first time with him. And that's such special. And we played with him many times on the same bill there.
That was the very first time on the Opry?
Yeah, we
to
got to
step
play.
out in that circle, yeah. It's a really neat opportunity and moment. And him and Robin have always just been so very kind. And
Oh, they are wonderful.
They are. So that was really neat. Husband and wife, standing with husband and wife on the same stage, and we got to sing Your Love Amazes Me. Or, I sang harmony, and Darin played mandolin on that. So it was a really special moment.
The night we saw you two and you were playing the mandolin, it's just magic. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And so after that, then what happened?
We got asked back with our pal John Cowan and made our debut on July 4th, 2017. So we got to play the new Opry House then with John.
And you've been back 40
About
times?
40
Almost
times.
40, yeah.
This coming weekend be 40 times.
So how has your life changed?
Well, it's that's something that a goal to set, and you want to always try to reach those goals in whatever career that you have. Being as a kid, watching and taping on a VCR tape to date me, you know, I used to tape all my heroes playing, Vince and Ricky and Marty and Flatt and Scruggs and Monroe, to sit and practice and learn that stuff. And most of them were from the Opry. And to get there that many times and to be able to play it, have like Vince or Ricky introduce you and bring you on, that's just, it doesn't get any better than that, you know. And it's just a God thing for us to be able to do that with a lot of our friends like that.
Mm-hmm. And in a community, you know, where we both grew up in our different towns, you know, they always knew the potential that Darin and I had as kids, you know, and so for them to, and our families, you know, pushing us and always saying, you know, you need to go to Nashville, you need to, when you get to the Opry, you're going to make it, you know. So it's like when you see those things come into, you know, to real life, it's just like, wow, you know, this is what I've been told my whole life, and it's actually happening. It's just.
Well, Brooke, who inspired you? I mean, who are some of your country music artists that you just look up to?
My first concert that I ever went to was Vince Gill and Mary Chapin Carpenter. So I love both of those artists. I love them as people too. I've never got to meet Mary, but Vince has been, you know, a big cheerleader in our career. And then I loved Martina McBride when I was a little girl, and just hearing her on the radio. I still haven't gotten to meet her either, but yeah, her music was just always inspiring to me. And Emmylou Harris, I can't leave her out.
Yeah.
And of course Dolly, you know, everybody feels like they're related to Dolly in some way. So yeah. But
so how do you feel that your life has changed? I mean, it's.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's just a lot of times, you know, we'll be driving back home to North Carolina and we'll get to talking about, can you believe that we've gotten to do all these things, you know, in the amount of time that we've been playing, which has been about 14, 15 years now together. And it's like, I mean, sometimes we get really emotional about it because it just, you know, some people work their whole lives and never get to do some of the things that we've gotten to do. So we feel very blessed and fortunate. And, you know, we just know that this is what God has, you know, the path that he's put us on. You know, we know that that's why we're getting to do it. And we've tried to, you know, always make sure that he's leading the way. So yeah, it's neat to see those moments, like I said, come to reality. And to share it together, because not a lot of husbands and wives can say they get to do that. So yeah.
Okay, real quick question about the husband and wife. Do you agree on everything when it comes to your creativity and your music, or is there some
about
differences?
90% probably. Yeah.
I think so. And I really have such a mutual respect for Darin because he's been in the business a lot longer than I have. So he knows, you know, a lot about what to do, and I had no clue, you know. So I just thought you came to Nashville and you made it, you know. So that's the small town girl that I was. But yeah, he's really been a mentor to so many, but he's also been a huge mentor to me, and, you know, just always encouraging me. And, you know, I was this little quiet girl when we first started, you know, and I didn't always want to say a lot on stage. And he's like, you've got to connect with the audience.
Believed in her from day one.
That's right.
You know, and pushed her to that. I know what she was capable of.
Yeah.
It just had to come out, let the rest of the world see.
Well, tell me about your faith and how that plays along with your music and your life.
Well, we both grew up in church, and so really, you know, gospel music and our faith is the foundation of what we do. We knew that setting out on this journey that we can't do anything in life without God, you know, and so we've always tried to keep him ahead of what we're doing and just, you know, stay focused on this is why we're getting to do this, you know, because he's given us those gifts and talents to use.
Yeah, I think that was important that we were raised kind of the same way. Mm-hmm. Grew up in the similar type of church. Her pastor was like my third cousin. And and then where I went to church was her pastor's brother. Mm-hmm. So, but we were 2 hours apart. So we were raised and had those same beliefs. And when we set out to do music, we wanted to preach the gospel in our songs.
And with some of your songs, do you have a favorite that you want to share with us? Or?
Well, I'll tell you, we'll do a song that we first recorded together, just a little bit. And guy wrote it was a great fellow there and guitar player from Valdez, North Carolina, named George Shuffler. And it's our first demo we ever did together.
Mm-hmm. It's called When He Beckons Me Home to Stay. There's a place of sweet peace and rest where I'll go blessed when my work down here is all through. There I'll see all my friends go on and join them in a brand new song. My hope is I can see you too. Oh, I'm looking for that happy time when a home in heaven will be mine, and I feel the time is not far away. There I'll walk on streets of purest gold and wear a robe as white as snow when he beckons me home to stay.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Your very first single. So do you spend a lot of time in the evenings, playing the music? And
We do around the house there in the living room. We've got several guitars that we've each got, and I've collected over the years. So we've got them sitting all over the house, and so anywhere we get to sit down, we'll pick up one and sing a tune like that. And I really done that for Brooke to play guitar more and stuff. So she actually learned to play mandolin and guitar as we've been together, and she's played on stage and everything now, and that's just a great thing for me to get to see her do.
now you talked about one of your heroes, and we're going to talk about him when we come back. I love how God bonds others together and people that we look up to. You have special heroes in your life. Share some of those.
Well, probably one of our biggest buddies and fans, and God's helped us out a lot, is Vince Gill. And who doesn't love Vince? Everybody's loved him. And since I started playing and stuff, I've always got, way before I met him, that I looked like Vince. And even when we played some festivals that he was on, and Merle Fest and some others, people would see us backstage talking, and they've asked Brooke, is that Vince's son? and all that. And I've got that a bunch, but I've looked up to him forever. I think one of the first moments that I ever remember I really wanted to do music for a living was watching Vince with just a guitar, singing on the Opry, singing a gospel song from his heart. It was Drifting Too Far from the Shore. And that's something my grandpa always sang. And it was just that connection, and he was like another father figure to me through all his music, his songs. And I even wrote kind of a song about him, about being such a hero of mine. And we got to see him many times. The first time we got to see him backstage, he spent probably 30, 45 minutes with us in Charlotte.
When was that? Was it a while ago?
It was before we were married, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was probably 2007.
Something like that. It's when his tour these days was, and he came to Charlotte. And I just got lucky enough to know somebody that knew somebody that could get us backstage. End up seeing him again in Nashville, and then again. And I always heard he was really good to sing on records and stuff. So we asked if he would sing on one of our records. And we got to go to his house. He said, come on out. And we just bonded, and I got to play the song for him, which meant a whole lot. He shared, one of his mentors was Guy Clark. And the song that I wrote was kind of a song like he wrote for his father and for Guy, which was called The Key to Life. Mm-hmm. And he took the key off of a Guy song called The Randall Knife, so he could share that whole moment with me. And it was very touching and good. And we've been close since. He started out in bluegrass, and I've got a bunch of old guitars and mandolins, so does he. We've got so much in common. He invited us on the rhyming stage at the Opry the first time to sing with him.
Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Oh, it was just shocking for us. We just was there to hang out and eat the free food and see the good musicians.
Were you like, shocked?
Oh, yeah, Brooke didn't want to go.
Well, I felt like my
Brooke
legs
didn't want to go
so,
out. She said, I can't go.
Like I had
said,
weights
yes, you will.
on my legs or something. Like I couldn't move. Darin's like pulling me. He's like, come on,
We're going.
He's told us to come out there.
Yeah. So he handed me his mandolin, and we played 2 or 3 songs with him.
Were you even like ready?
No.
Did you know what you were going to sing? Or?
No. And then when we got out there and started singing, I was kind of timid because I was like, Vincent, he was like, so we were in one mic and Darin was on this side and Vince was on this side. And Vince like put his hand on my back and like pushed me up to the mic, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta go now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But he's been great. You know, we played the Opry with him a couple times, and you know, it's just been nice. He's got us out to sing "Go Rest High on the Mountain" with him, and it's just a true friend and somebody to look up to. You know, he's as genuine as you want to find.
I have to ask you though, what happened after you finished the song?
She couldn't believe it.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's still that way with us, you know, that's somebody you looked up to. I remember the first night we met him in Charlotte, Brooke cried after we got through because she was just so happy for me.
Yeah,
and for her too, you know, of how it come down.
Just the time that he took with both of us, you know, and he just handed Darin his mandolin like, you know, like he's like, here, play this, you know, and I sat there and watched them. You know, Vince sat there and watched Darin play. I actually took a picture. I didn't want to be like the crazy fan, you know, taking pictures as they were, you know, talking to each other. But I was like, I got to capture this moment. And I love that. It's still one of my favorite pictures. It's really sweet.
It's been blessed. And it's just a God thing, too, like I said, with him and so many others. You know, Jimmy Fortune's been so good to us, the Oak Ridge boys.
John Cowan, John Berry.
John, and Ricky and Sharon.
Jeannie Seeley.
We've had so many that's kind of took us under our wing. And I think they all see that we're younger ones come up, but we have such a respect for the Opry, for the music that we love, that we have faith in God. And we've kind of watched them. And as Ricky says, you know, we're good crop that they've planted over the years, and they see a stock to put back in us.
Tell me about the Hero song when you wrote it.
I saw Vince in Spartanburg one night, and he was talking about different folks of his, you know, and James Taylor, and like I mentioned, Guy Clark, and so many other ones. And I got home that night, and I just had the tune in mind of, I need to write something about him. You know, he's been so good to others, and just so he'll have a song when you hear it, you know that it's talking about him, but I never mentioned him. I put some different keys to things of songs of his that he wrote about other people and different things, and from my heart. So I got to play him for him the first time we was at his studio, and it's just a special. It's called Hero of Mine.
Yeah, Vince cried.
Oh yeah.
So the moment was just, it was very moving. Yeah.
Did he know that it was written for him? Or can you share, you don't have to sing it or anything, but can you share some of the words to the song, or? Oh good, he's singing.
Everybody needs a hero. Someone who will help you carry on. And when you find your strength is gone, that's when your hero comes along.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. I can see why he was emotional.
Yeah, it's been good. We got a good friendship.
What about you, Brooke? Anybody that you know is your hero?
Oh, absolutely. My mom and my grandmother have, you know, my mom's mother, and really my dad's mom too. I mean, just like I said earlier, you know, I've been surrounded by people my whole life who I feel like have just encouraged me because they saw something in me at an early age. My parents, you know, knew very young that I could remember words really well, and I loved to sing. I sang with my mom and my sisters in church. So, you know, just to know that they were the ones who first believed in me, and always, you know, didn't make me sing. They encouraged me, you know, and it eventually turned into something that I knew that I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I'll always be grateful to them first, you know.
What about, I want to hear about This Life We're Living.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was an album, you know, we titled the album that. It came from a song that we wrote during the pandemic with our good friend Dennis Duff called My Life's Living Me. And actually, Jimmy Fortune had encouraged that song because we did a song with him on a couple albums back, a remake of Every Time You Leave. And we were shooting a video for that song. And Jimmy and I were talking while they were filming Darin, and you know, we were talking about how Jimmy lives out here in Nashville now, and he was wanting to go see his children. And the way it transpired was, you know, Jimmy said, sometimes I feel like my life's living me. And I thought, well, we need to write a song about that. But that's where the title for the album came about. And, you know, I felt like it was a little bit more insight to Darin and I and what we've gotten to do down through the years in our career and our music. We added a lot of songs that we had written on this album, which was we showcased us in a different light.
How we've grown over the years in the last decade, and the songs that we're living now in this life and where we are.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what God is going to do in your life. And I just want to Thank you so much for being here and that I get to share this time with you, and I look forward to see what's going to happen.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
My friend, this life that we're living, you do have a hero, and his name is Jesus. Keep your eyes focused on him. This is today's Nashville. This is faith.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.